dear Lord, look at that. That's terrible.
Hello, welcome to the inside of the Mini. Today's adventure starts in here. I know on the end of the last video I said I was going to get up under the arches, under the boot floor, and clear up all the rust that I could find, back to something, treat it and put some rust resistant paint on, and just so that that's all ready to then take some colour. And I thought, oh, I better check, because the back part of the boot underneath is the seat inside. Let's just make sure everything's okay here before we get there. And in doing that, I found a little hole. Not where I wanted to find a hole. This is the part of the floor I was kind of thinking of. Just, you see there's lots of burn marks, or the remnants of burn marks back here where I was welding on the bottom side of this. Obviously some paint burn happened here, so I thought, well, clean this all back to sort of like something that's resembles something that could be painted, and let's just clean up all the corners so that everything's ready to go. And oh, you probably can see what I'm looking at now. You can see this down here. I didn't want to find that. It wasn't supposed to be there. So where does that little hole relate to? Well, it sort of relates to the underneath in front of the arches where the subframe sits. So it's an easy one to plug. And then I started to investigate further with the wire wheel in here, just to sort of, you know, I've got to do something, so let's make sure I'm crossing off all the lists of all the things that need to be done in here before paint gets applied. So we already know that here needed a little bit of attention. It's not a big job to do, it's quite an easy one to fix, and I've even got the metal that I'm going to use to do it. Quite happy with that. And there was a bubble on the inner sill, and every time I try and suck the dust out of there just to see how far it goes, something else falls out and then a load of water comes with it. So basically there's water stuck in the sandwich together metal, and I don't seem to be able to dry it out. I might have to get the blowtorch in there, but there's two ways to tackle it. We can tackle it from this side, or we can tackle it from the other side.
And when I say we can tackle it from the other side, I'm referring to this. I've alluded to it a few times now, that this might not be as good as it looks. I mean, it's solid here, it's solid there, but not entirely happy with what I did here. You may well be able to see these horrible ugly welds all along this edge here. So yeah, I think today I'm going to be cutting off the sill just to see what we've got under there. So I've got a new one to put on, and I know I'm moaning about pattern parts, but it is a pattern part I've got to go on. But if I just know exactly how much I've got to deal with here, maybe we can get it all done in one go. Right, let's break out the angle grinder. Well, I wasn't quite expecting that much water to come out. Holy cow. Like, my sills must have been literally full of water. That's absolutely bonkers. There's so much water coming out of there. Well, I know it rained a lot the last couple of days, but like, wow. I mean, that's absolutely bonkers. Right, let's dig the sill open and see how bad it is, because that can't be a good sign. One thing I did really wrong last time I built this car and I put the sills on it. I got through there? Yeah, I put these sills on. These were the worst decision I could possibly make. I've got to go more. Need to grind a bit more there. But I mean, like, there's a puddle in here. It's like, I never expected to find that much water in here. shocking and worrying. Don't know if I can get the light in there. Let's have a look, can you see? Looks like a puddle sitting at the bottom of my sill. Holy cow. This is exactly the reason that you don't want oversills. That could happen to any car that's had oversills put on it. I did not believe there would be that much water. I'm speechless. Let's see if we can get the last of this cut out here. That should be it. Oh dear Lord, look at that. That's terrible. But salvageable all at the same time. I'm not poking holes through it. Right, can you see what I'm doing here? Let's have a look down this end and just leave this open a bit. Okay, are oversills bad? Yes. Were these these were oversills that I had, that I cut down to about the same size structurally for sills, and then I put them on and left them unventilated because I thought, well, water can't get in. And I'm right. Unfortunately, water also can't get out either. So that's less than ideal. I mean, it's quite, looks like I've been lucky, as in nothing's, it all is fairly solid, but I've caught it at the right time. I suppose the one good thing that I did do was when I did my inner sill repairs and I put these sills on, is I made sure that as much of the inner sill area that I could get to was painted. So it looks like that as much as water has been in here doing its nasty thing, that actually I may well have inadvertently saved the inner sills. So it's just rip this off, tidy it up, treat the rust and put the new one on. Just absolutely wasn't expecting that though, which now makes me nervous for the other side, because if we were full up to the doorstep on this side, we're going to be full up to the doorstep on the other side, and I can't get to that at the moment. I've got to finish this side first. So I've obviously got to come up with a plan of action to deal with this. I've got to get this off. I know I've got another little bit up here to get off, but that again should hopefully be just grind off my very closely spaced, might even be inch apart welds. So there's a little bit more cutting to do, but I really want to get this completely out of the way if I can today. Yeah, I think I'm going to start. Let's get this off completely, then we can assess the rust. This bit up here is obviously not bad. The doorstep itself, all the rest of it up here is pretty good. So yeah, let's get that off somehow. If you've managed to get this far through the video, thank you very much. Down in that corner over there is a button. It looks very much like that. If you could go and click, tap, press, however you do so on that button, I would really appreciate it. Also, if you're new to the channel, go and find the subscribe button. Tap on that, follow along for the rest of the journey. See how many times I can find water inside this car, because I wasn't expecting to find that. Anyway, back to the story. So here we have, in all its ugly detail, the mess that was under my floors. It's a little bit flaky in this corner here, but I've got to do a little bit here. So I'm not too upset about this. There's the little hole I discovered on the inner sill, and this bit here is a bracket that supports the bolts that the rear subframe bolts into. Surprisingly, when you look down there, so I can't get the camera to focus in there, but when you look down there, it's actually pretty good. So I'm not so worried about that. You can see up here, it's all really ugly on the surface. You can see where I put a roll cage plate in there to burn the paint off the back, but even so, even though it did burn the paint off the back, it's actually not gone that rusty. The water can't have been getting in here too much. Must be just while it's been laid up. But it's like blocks like this. Yeah, so it's not horrendous. But obviously this lower part where the water's been sitting, I've got to give some real attention. I mean, yeah, that looks really bad. I am obviously going to check inside the cross member because that's going to be somewhere around sort of this. That might have been a repair I did. But yeah, where the cross member goes. You'll also notice currently no jacking point. I do plan to rectify that because I missed having that jacking point. So yeah, it's actually bad but not horrendous. So let's give it a scrub and see what comes off. Don't mind me, just sweeping up my sills. Standard practice for a mini. Yes, have to every now and again just pop them off and sweep out all the rust that's gathered in there, and then you put them back on again. Lovely old job. Okay, now that I've had a good prod around with a screwdriver, there's a little tiny bit right in this corner that looks like it might need some love, but actually the rest of it, now all the loose stuff is off, is pretty good. I mean, I don't really, again, right in this very corner here, I might investigate further, but the rest of it I'm really happy. Obviously, I could be happier if there was no rust, but for inner sills that have been harassed by non-breathing outer sills, that is pretty good. So you've heard me mention that I've got pattern parts to go on here, and I can hear the echoes of, Nick, no, you should know by now, why are you doing aftermarket panels? You know they're going to be rubbish. You've already had trouble with the back end. And honestly, I do hear you. Honestly, I really, really do. But it's really hard to go wrong with a sill, and it's really quite easy to make your own if you really need to. Let me show you what I've got. Here you see a Magnum sill. Now, I have been critical of Magnum in the past, but I'll be honest, as I said, it's hard to go wrong with a sill. The length is pretty defined, well, you'd expect it to be on every panel. That's what's going to be going on. There we go. And immediately you should be able to see where I went wrong with my oversill panel. The panel that came off the car, you can see this is the edge I've cut. That's the bit that would end up underneath. Here, there is no vents. You can see there's no vents, and it was a decision I made to keep them because I thought water gets in through these and it rots the sills. And what happens is, as much as water gets in, with these, water can get back out again. So, yes, old fart brains here now has realised he made a huge error. There are things like this hole here and this hole here I'm going to block up because they don't have, as far as I'm aware, any critical nature. Oh, maybe not that one, I don't know. I'll make that decision later. But yes, there are other holes that go on cars, and they were for the jigs that carried the cars through the production line, and they don't need to be there. So if it doesn't need to be there, it's not going to be there. So yeah, you can see also how much more metal I left on there in keeping these cut down panels on here. They're the same thickness of metal. I wasn't compromising strength, and I'd kind of thought I'd kept a very similar amount of overlap between the inner sill. I mean, the inner sill goes up somewhere around about here. So you've just got this overlap here, and you're making a bit of box section effectively. So yeah, I obviously left more material on there than I thought, and I left no way for any moisture to get out. So yeah, you live and learn. Stupid mistake. But I mean, for the amount of time this car was sitting outside, it's not the worst thing that could have happened to it. So I will go down before I put this panel on, and I'll take the rest of this panel off. I must say, I'm probably going to have to deal with some bits of rust in various places. I will take off the rest of this panel. I am going to take off the lip that's still sitting underneath here. But actually, as a pattern panel, it's really not bad. It's in about the right place here. Not quite, so I can nudge it up a bit. And when you get it, it is actually a smudge too long, which is not a bad thing. You can always cut it down a little bit. So with the last set of panels, I think I cut it short here and welded it as a seam along that edge. But I'm not going to seam weld this in place. This will just be spotted even down this on this edge here. So again, if moisture gets in, it can get out. And I hope to be able to paint the underside here with some more rust resistant paint to stop it from happening again. And I'll get both sides, inner and outer sill. I'll paint it all up as much as I can and just clean back the bits that need weld on them. And then hopefully moisture can get in, moisture can get out, and nothing goes rusty in my lifetime. But at least that's the plan anyway. Okay, think I'm going to leave it here today. I've got to get myself off to work, got a few bits to do, and I've got to let this ideally dry out. So I'll pop this sill back off and chuck it in the garage, and I'll head off, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.